一緒にですね、良い時間を過ごせればなと思ってます。I just said, I guarantee you, Charles has brought all the snow from Colorado today to Tokyo. It only rains once a year, but Charles brought it together with him. So enjoy the snow together with all of us. ありがとうございます。All right. で、ここにですね、通訳の、QR コードがこれから出てきますので、この QR コードをスキャンをしていただければなと思っています。ちょっとこちらが QR コードになりますので、こちらの、写真を撮っていただいてアクセスしていただくと、英語から日本語への通訳の、機能がついていますので、ぜひ、こちらにアクセスしていただければなと思っています。あと30秒ぐらいちょっと上の方に置いておきますので、皆さんアクセスしていただければなと思っています。Okay? Okay. 次、動画の方流してもらってもいいですか？ The video, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So today we will have a couple of QR coding scanning panels out there. We will be taking pictures. If you have any pictures that you took today, please go and use Memento. This is a tool that we are using for our midnight tour for people to be able to share the people that you met with, the time that we've shared together as well. So I appreciate if everybody could take a look at the QR code from Memento, be able to share some of your QR codes and your photos to the platform, so for us to be able to share this globally as well with our global community. Thank you. All right. So before we start, a few housekeeping things that we'd like to address here. There is no scheduled fire alarm here, and so if you hear a fire alarm, please make sure that you follow the instructions of the staff and make sure you make a safe way out the exit, as that we are all concerned for your safety if you do not get out safely as well. So make sure that you follow the instructions of the staff that are around you here today. Number two, we have the bathroom on the left backside over there, and so please make your way to the bathroom on the backside. There's only one here in the back, and so that's your way if you need to use the bathroom in. So, okay. All right. And so, okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, and I am very happy to introduce my next guest for us as speaker today, Kyle. If you can make your way up here again.
Thank you, Taro.
You're welcome, sir.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How you guys doing tonight? Everybody good? Hey, guys. My name is Kyle, and today I want to introduce Hydra Events. Hydra Events is a game we're running tonight, and we've been doing it on the Midnight Japan tour, and it's essentially a way to demonstrate a real-world use case for Hydra. And so Hydra is built on Cardano, and tonight you'll be able to learn, you'll be able to play, and you can win real prizes by engaging. So Hydra Events is a live, excuse me, I jumped ahead a little bit. Hydra Events is a live event tech and attendee gamification experience. And as I mentioned earlier, it's built using Cardano and Hydra. And what it's designed to do is it's designed to really increase the value that attendees get from attending events just like this one tonight. And so today it's going to attract all the activity and interactions in real time using a live Hydra head. And in the future, we will add privacy features powered by Midnight. This means private actions, private rewards, and selective disclosure of information and statistics. So there's 4 ways you guys can play. There's a community track for learning, there's a developer track for builders, there's a social track for meeting people and interacting with the community, and each city on the tour has special activities. So you can choose one track, or you can play all 3 along with the city value-add events that we have. So what you guys are going to do to get started, it's really simple. What you want to do is go ahead and scan this QR code up here. And I'll give you guys a minute to go ahead and do that. Excuse me, guys. We've got a little technical difficulty going on here. Thank you. Okay, so as you scan this QR code, you're going to be prompted to choose a social login provider. And doing that, a Hydra wallet will then automatically be created on your device for you. And after that, you can start reviewing and completing tasks within the app. So when you complete tasks, you're going to earn points. And these points you can then redeem for tokens. And then tokens you can use in the gotcha machine where you can win basically a secret prize. And we've got all kinds of cool prizes in there. So every gotcha ball is going to win. We've got small prizes like stickers and kind of shark purses. And we've got bigger prizes like hardware wallets, AirPods, and even quite a few iPads. And just so you guys know, 5 prizes have already gone out tonight. And the big ones are still all available. So to earn the most chances to play, you guys can join also what's called a ZK scavenger hunt. And you'll be able to collect points by listening to talks, by talking to teams, and by meeting the Midnight Ambassadors. And you'll discover secret words hidden throughout. Now, each Midnight Ambassador has a QR code you can scan, and there's also a secret word on each of their badges as well. You'll get 5 points for scanning the Midnight Ambassador QR codes, and there's up to 25 points for completing the ZK scavenger hunt. You're going to need 50 points to spin the gotcha machine. So be sure to talk to everybody and engage and just kind of get to know everybody. And as you go through the night, we're going to see a lot of prizes go out. And so in regards to the ZK scavenger hunt, there are a total of 10 secret words. You don't need all 10, you only need 5. And so you'll submit a valid proof of those 5, and that's what's going to reward your points. A little more on that, though. What you're submitting is a zero-knowledge proof commitment, if you will. You're proving that you found 5 of the 10 secret words, but you're not revealing what those words are. And this is kind of similar to how the privacy features on Midnight work, and that's why we put the game together, so you guys could get kind of a little real hands-on experience of what we're getting into. And to start, we're going to give you 1 secret word from the Hydra events team, and the first secret word of the evening is state. Okay, guys, that's pretty much it for the Hydra events pitch. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker, a man who needs absolutely no introduction whatsoever, a man whose vision has brought so many talented people together in pursuit of a higher purpose, the founder and CEO of Input Output, Mr. Charles Hoskinson.
Hello, Tokyo! It's so good to be here. It's been a long tour. We've been on the road now for 2 weeks. We were in Hokkaido. And I said, I remember Sapporo. That was a lovely place. It was nice and warm and sunny. I arrived, there's 2 meters of snow. It's like, really? Come on. And then we flew to Osaka and then Fukuoka. And then we went all the way down to Okinawa, but now we're here in Tokyo, and it is just such an honor to be able to see such a beautiful country. I live in America, and I live in Wyoming, which is a very big and small place at the same time. It's huge, lots of land, but there's no people. There's only 500,000 people in Wyoming. So when people say, I've been to America, then what they say is they've been to California or New York. but they seldom actually go to the small places. So it was an honor to actually be able to go to the countryside and see all the things that also make Japan special. We got to see capybaras in Okinawa. We were in Miyamoto Musashi's cave that he wrote the 5 Rings in over in the south. So why did we do a Japan tour? Why did we come to this place? Outside of the fact that I love Japan, Cardano is the largest cryptocurrency project in the world to come from Japan. It's because we wanted to share what's been going on with the Cardano ecosystem and talk about Midnight. So first, you'll see some presentations tonight from Intersect. You already saw Hydra events, and you'll see Leios and things about node diversity. And all these people came from other places, Australia and Europe, and they came from America. And they're sharing their common love of what we built together 10 years ago. It's a vibrant ecosystem. Cardano is strong. There's 1.4 million people. When we passed the Constitution, people from more than 100 countries voted on it. People from 50 countries participated in the writing of the Constitution. And the next draft of the Constitution, the leading candidates came right here from Tokyo. So I wanted to show you that the ecosystem is strong. In spite of the markets going up and down, there's a lot of passion, enthusiasm, and excitement, and there's a lot of opportunities to do interesting things. Second, I wanted to come and talk a bit about the state of the Cardano dApp ecosystem. We're decentralized, we have strong governance, but we need to do a lot more. And there's a question of how will the Cardano dApps win? What do we need to do to be able to get next level? Because it's not good enough just to be decentralized and have great technology and great governance. You have to have TVL and transactions and monthly active users. And we can win that. And how do we win that? We win that by embracing what makes us special and unique. So the third thing was Midnight. And Midnight is the most exciting project I've worked on in a very long time because it completes the story of cryptocurrencies. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about here in this speech. You see, I've been in the industry now for 15 years. I was very young when I started. Now I'm losing my hair, getting fat. In fact, when I first arrived, I had gout, so I had a cane and I was walking like this. You know, it was very hard. And I'm reminded that this is a merciless industry. There's a lot going on, and every day the pace just continues and continues. And we meet all these companies. We talk to Microsoft and Google and Toyota and Sony, and we go and talk to them. We say, do you have a blockchain pilot? They say, yes, we have a research and development group. We study blockchain. We know blockchain. We're excited about blockchain. We say, oh, that's great. So what happened? You've done the pilot. You've done the work. So does like all of Microsoft now run on a blockchain? If so, which one? Should be Cardano. Does all of Amazon run on a blockchain? Does all of Toyota run on a blockchain? And the answer is always no. So after 15 years, 500 million people, $1 trillion valuations, why is it that the blockchain space has not conquered the world? Why are we not number one? Why are we not in every business, every government, every person's pocket? So I asked that question 6 years ago. And it's a pretty simple answer. You have two sides. You have the public side. That's where blockchains are at. And there's so many amazing properties about them. They're transparent. That means everybody can see it everywhere, no matter where you go. They're auditable. That means that when you put something in there, there's some way you can check and verify, yes, this is accurate. It actually did happen that way. They're immutable. That's a beautiful property. You put something in the blockchain, you can't take it out. You can't roll it back. You can't reverse it. These are powerful properties. We've never in human history had a ledger that has this type of capability. The first thing that happens when someone conquers a country or someone takes over, they take all the records and they burn them. And then you don't know who owns the land. You don't know who's got money, who doesn't have money. What happens if the banks just erase your ledger? You go from rich to poor. So it's pretty important that you can preserve records globally. And anything you put in, everybody can see. Anything you put in, you know it's right. And no one can change it, even if it's inconvenient to people. So why do businesses not want this? Well, every business in the world, whether you're McDonald's or Microsoft, has a private side. You have your HR data. How much do you pay your employees? You have disciplinary actions. You have competitive secrets. You have intellectual property. Your strategy. Does Toyota want to tell Honda what it's going to do for the next Camry? No, you have to keep these things private. So if you have a blockchain pilot and you're trying to do real things with the blockchain, you have some public things you want to do, but then you also have some private things you want to do. And the problem with Ethereum and Solana and even Cardano is everything you put into these systems are public. So what do we do about this side? And for about 6 years, we were really interested in this question. We have an army of scientists. In fact, some of them are here today. Mario, where are you at? Ah, there's Mario. Mario Laranjera from Tokyo Tech. So we've had an army of scientists. They've worked on this problem for a long time. And what we did is we built a new protocol called Midnight. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it does and why we built it. But basically, the long and the short is Midnight is a unification of these two sides. It gives you private smart contracts, gives you the private ledger, and lets you work with public systems. So we said, oh, this is a simple problem. We can solve this problem. It should be relatively easy. Put about a year into it, and the next year, and the next year. We started in actually 2018. So 7, 8 years now. And now we have this beautiful thing. So how do we do it? What do we care about? Well, the first problem with privacy is that privacy is not a light switch. It's like waterproofing. There we go. Should probably use the eraser, driving you guys nuts. So privacy is not AV people. There we go. So privacy. Okay. Hello? Yeah, okay. Oh. Privacy is not a light switch. People say you're private or not private. It's a silly notion. Privacy is like waterproofing a house. It's up to a certain amount of water and it's up to a certain type of condition. So you build a roof, you put everything together, and then the first rainstorm happens. And then you look at the wall and you see that little drip coming down and you say, damn it, I missed something. You're only as private as your weakest link. If there's a little crack somewhere in your foundation, in your roof, there's a small hole. It can be the network stack of your system, or it could be your cell phone, or it can be your ISP. It can be the operating system. It can be backdoors in the hardware because China made the chips. It can be that you shared your password with the wrong person, so the authentication system's working well, but unfortunately it's not there. It's many things together. And also, even if you've waterproofed something, it's great for the rainstorm, but what happens when the typhoon comes? You're going to have a flooded basement because it's too much water. So the first problem of privacy, and we'll represent this like a triangle, is that privacy is not one thing, it's a collection of things, and privacy is an adversarial model. You always ask, how much do you want? What are you trying to protect? How much water is coming at you? And it's looking for that crack. And there's many components to it. So everybody in the cryptocurrency space, they're obsessed with zero knowledge. ZK, ZK, ZK. They say it again and again, like it means something. And they don't actually know what it means, but they say it. They have zero knowledge about the zero knowledge. It's fun. But there's other things. There's multi-party computation. There's trusted execution environments. There's fully homomorphic and partial homomorphic encryption. FPF. There's differential cryptography. There's network anonymization. There's actually more than 25 pet technologies. It's almost like pet Pokemon. You got to catch them all. They're everywhere. You can't find them. And each and every one of them is a component that goes into your system. Each and every one of them is part of the waterproofing. Just like you put the plastic down and the tar down and special types of roofing shingles and other things to protect your home. No one of them is enough for the job, but the composition of all of them just the right way, with just the right techniques, can protect you against just the right storm. So this is a very complicated concept. And they all have different trade-off profiles. And the thing about it is that the user experience is terrible. There's a reason why the privacy experts are those weird people. They live in the basement, got the neck beard, and they're just like, ooh, protect from the government. And they use Arch Linux and all these strange things. We're going to piss off the 7 people on the internet who use it. They have this mentality and this mindset. They're always thinking in specters and other things. And that's because to understand all of this takes a lifetime of hard work. It's a lot of work. He has a PhD in computer science. He only studies one subfield of a subfield of this and teaches at Tokyo Tech. So how in God's name is the dApp developer, the regular app developer, supposed to understand all of that, embed that, and get it right? How are they actually going to do that correctly? It's very hard. So what I said with Midnight is, first and foremost, let's try to make this like ChatGPT. The magic of ChatGPT, the magic of modern AI, which went from 0 users to 800 million users, is it's a black box. You just send something in, you get something out. Now, under the hood, there's all these amazing things with transformers, large language models, all this stuff. Who the hell knows how it works? It just works. And when we started, it was text, then text and images, then text and images and video. You got more and more over time. So the first step is treat it like a black box. Have an interface. Something goes in, something goes out. It starts handling some private component of your system. And then every 6 months, add more capabilities. Start with the ZK. That's where everybody's at. Then add multi-party computation, and then add confidential compute, and then add fully homomorphic encryption, partners, and other things. Not your problem to understand it. Make it simple. Make it easy. So that was the first goal of Midnight, is to look for some universality of how do we unify the different technologies and begin a conversation with people about what they're trying to protect. Are you protecting against the individual, a company, cyber criminals, a nation state? Who's worrying about this? Toyota's security needs are vastly different from your security needs, vastly different from the US government's security needs. Our US government has to deal with adversaries who may have quantum computers. They have to deal with adversaries that have armies of hackers that they train for decades and billions of dollars of capabilities. So everybody's different, and it's just like water. Some people live in a hurricane zone. Some people live in a desert. I remember being in, we sent some people to Dubai, and they had their first rainstorm, and I think it was a century or something like that. And like all the streets flooded because they had no water mitigation. And it wasn't that much rain. It's just the desert can't handle it because it never rains there. So everybody has different needs. And when you think in this paradigm, it cleans it up. But that alone is not good enough. There's another revolution that's going on at the same time. It's called the abstraction revolution, and it's super exciting. And it really, at the end of the day, it's about simplification. Privacy alone is not good enough. No one's going to adopt it if you have to understand how it works. Abstraction is an acknowledgement that everybody has been programmed over the last 10 years to use these. There's 5 billion people running around with these cell phones. And what is your user experience for a cell phone? You push the button. You have this little fingerprint thing, right? And I tap the fingerprint. Oh, and lo and behold, now my phone is unlocked. And look at that. I have a gallery. And then I can open up a picture of me in a McDonald's uniform. Yay! The McSpeech. It's simple. It's easy. Now, do you have to understand how multi-touch works? Do you have to understand how the Linux kernel on this phone works? Do you have to understand all the physics miracles that had to occur over the last 40 years to be able to click the button, tap the thing? No. You as a user, all you have to do is touch the screen. It's simple. So why is it we in the cryptocurrency space think that we should be able to get away with saying, even though everybody is used to this user experience, they have to use a user experience where they have to know how the blockchain works. They have to know how a wallet works. They have to know how cryptography works. They have to manage private keys. And every blockchain is different, so they have to know how Ethereum works, and Solana works, and Cardano works, and Bitcoin works. It makes no sense. It's madness. It should work on a phone. So abstraction is about this. And there's two flavors of it. There's the wallet abstraction. And the wallet abstraction side is basically just make it ridiculously easy to create a wallet and use cryptocurrencies. It should be no more than a fingerprint and a PIN code. And it just works. You have like a QR code up there. You scan it. You put your finger. You put a PIN code. You're done. And if you want to recover your wallet, you link your Facebook page or something to it, and you're done. And if you want to use Ethereum, you click Authorize Ethereum. You want to use Cardano, Authorize Cardano. That is the user experience they expect and deserve. It turns out that wallet abstraction has been something that people have been working on for about 10 years, and there's all these amazing standards and protocols and these other things to make that magic happen. It's not your problem, it's my problem. And the 45 engineers I hire to make it their problem. They'll take care of it. The other side of abstraction is equally important, which is intention. Okay, so intention is self-evident. You go into a coffee shop and you say, I would like a coffee. And they say, yes, sir. And they make you a coffee and you pay. Your intention is a coffee and they deliver it to you. You don't walk into a coffee shop and say, all right, I'm going to tell you how to make a coffee. This is what you need to do to the beans. This is how long you need to grind them. This is what temperature the water should be at. You have to pour it this particular way. Oh, somebody's going to try to do that, but they'll get kicked out of the coffee shop. And rightfully so. They're like, we know how to make coffee. Get the hell out. And why is it then in a cryptocurrency, you have to understand step by step by step all the different things about how Ethereum processes a transaction or Cardano processes a transaction to be able to use such a chain. You should be able just to walk up to it and say, I want $100 worth of this token, or I want to do this, and it's got to settle by tomorrow, and I don't want to pay more than this much money for it. And somebody figures it out. And it doesn't matter if 10 of those tokens are on Ethereum and 20 of those tokens are on Solana and 15 of those tokens are somewhere else. That's not your problem. Just like it doesn't matter in the coffee if the beans are from Ethiopia or Kenya or Indonesia or they blended them together. That's their problem. It's not your problem. So there's all these amazing new standards that are being developed in the cryptocurrency space like OIF and some ERCs that are creating a language of intention that allows us to have cross-chain settlement. And what's really cool about it is that the S part of it, because the acronym is APSS, is that we're moving the settlement and solving to different places. So you live up here in the application. You have a wallet. You have your phone. And then you tell them what you want, which is the permission part. And then the S part, somebody figures out how to do that. That's the solver. And the other S is settlement. Where it occurs, that transaction can be anywhere. So all the winners and losers right now, all the people processing transactions, it's like shaking a snow globe. You're going to mix it up. All the Solana traffic can move. All the Bitcoin traffic can move. Because no longer is it the user deciding which chain to use. They're just telling you what they want to do. I want a loan. I want to borrow. I want to buy this NFT. I want to be able to tip my favorite YouTube star. I just want to click the button and tip them. That's what I want. How that happens, I don't particularly care. And I want to do it in a simple and easy way. Now, these are related to privacy because what if I know your intentions? I can trade against you. If I tell you I'm prepared to pay between $50 and $100 for the bicycle, and I would say, oh, okay, the bicycle's $100 because you just told me what you're willing to pay. You don't do that. That's not how you negotiate, unless you're America or something. I don't know. It's not very bright. So don't reveal your intentions. And also, if you're abstracting your wallet, You don't want people to know everything that's in it. You don't want people to see what you're doing. You want to have wallets for different boats of life. A public wallet, a private wallet, wallet for friends, wallet for kids, these types of things. So abstraction requires privacy. And when you put these two things together, then you can provide privacy for users across the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem. So Midnight, we thought a lot about how do we build this paradigm, not just for Cardano, but how do we build this paradigm for everybody? So Midnight, we're very proud to announce this. As we turn on the network, by the end of the year, we should be able to bring abstraction, and we should be able to bring wallet abstraction and intents to 33 blockchains. How about that? And what's so cool is once you have a system like this, you pay in any currency you want to pay in. You can pay in yen if there's a stable coin for it. You can pay in USDC. Come to Cardano now. You can pay in Bitcoin or Ether or ADA. You can pay in Sol. I don't care what network you come from. I don't care where you're at. It's business is business. Let people pay in what they want and let people build applications the way that they want. So these two things alone are changing the industry. And in intention in particular, 90% of all DEX volume and 60% of all DeFi transactions will be intent-based by 2030. It's over $1 trillion of business that we're going to have by 2030. So that's where the world is going. And why would it? Because it's simple. The user should never have to understand how the thing works to use the thing. I flip the switch, it turns on. I touch the button, and it just works. That's how you get 1 billion people. That's what Steve Jobs taught us. So are we done? No, there's one other thing, another revolution. It's called smart compliance. So if you're in the industry, hear this term come up again and again and again. RWAs, real world assets. Everybody who's in traditional finance, they talk about this. And what they're saying is we want to take those stocks and those bonds and the real estate and the intellectual property and all those things that pay a yield. We want those things to be in the blockchain space. Instead of being traded on fragmented markets in a particular nation state, 9 to 5, we take lunch and we skip the weekends. We want them to be in one global unified marketplace, trading 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anyone, anywhere, all the time, every time. The world wants liquidity. A Japanese company would love for somebody in Vietnam to be able to lawfully buy its stock and not have to worry about it. A Vietnamese company would love somebody in Ethiopia to be able to buy their stock and not have to worry about it. Just one global marketplace where all the liquidity pools together. So for years and years, almost 10 years now, I've heard in the industry, next year will be the year of real-world assets. This is the year the $10 trillion of real-world assets will enter the industry. Why didn't it happen? The same reason Toyota doesn't run on a blockchain, the same reason Microsoft doesn't run on a blockchain, because compliance is required. And are you comfortable with putting all of your data on a blockchain? Your identity, your address, your driver's license, your passport, how much money you make, things you believe, and your name's there for everyone everywhere, including creepy Sam Altman, to see it forever. No! No one's comfortable with that. You should never have to reveal these things. That is your right. You have a right to privacy. And in a free society, we have the right to choose. So that's why we don't put these things on, because they require compliance. And so it's very hard to put these things together. But what if you had some magic black box for privacy-enhancing technology? Then you can start thinking about compliance in terms of smart contracts and DIDs, compliance in terms of blockchain-based artifacts, and there's a private side and a public side, and you can coordinate these things in a decentralized way. You can prove properties of people, like you belong to a certain group, you are of a certain income bracket, like you're an accredited investor, you're a resident of Japan, you're not under US jurisdiction, whatever the proof needs to be, but you don't reveal anything else. Then you move to a world of smart contract-based compliance. Settlement is compliance. So those $10 trillion of assets can move their way into the space. And if you add wallet abstraction and intention, you have one universal system to handle all of this. You have one system for your money, one system for your loyalty points, one system for your stock trading, one system for pretty much anything. It's pretty magical when you think about the potential of putting these types of things together. And it all requires privacy. What privacy enables is sovereignty. You see, the problem with the world is we don't trust each other anymore, and you see it and you feel it. It's why everything is falling apart. It's why everybody's so angry all the time. It's why everybody's prone to rage. And the challenge is when you don't have trust, you can't do business with people. There's a great example, and I grew up in Hawaii. I used to watch a lot of anime, and I love Spirited Away and Castle in the Sky, My Neighbor Totoro, so Studio Ghibli. Wonderful people. Well, 40 plus years, Miyazaki created these wonderful things, and then suddenly ChatGPT shows up and they have Totoro mode. You just flip the switch and then you can generate pictures as if you're in Spirited Away. But he didn't get any royalties on that. Imagine that. You spend your life making something, and somebody you've never met, a company you have no relationship with, takes what you've done to 800 million people and steals it. What do you do? How do you get any recourse there? How do you sue them? Even if you can sue them, it's gone. It's over the internet. The Chinese will copy it with Quen and all these other models. So now for the rest of time, you've lost something that you held dear, you owned, and you cared about. And so that's the problem with global business. It's a violation of sovereignty of the company, the individual, and even the nation state. How does the UK in 2026 enforce its laws? If there's a cross-border transaction between England and, let's say, pick your favorite country, Chile, how do we make sure that if something happens, the Chilean courts are going to honor the contractual agreement? If Japan, let's say Toyota, does business with a Chinese automobile manufacturer because they have all these amazing scientists now and all these amazing manufacturing capability, and they want to work on a braking system together, and then the Chinese company steals it, how does Toyota get recourse? That's the problem. So what compliance is about is not KYC and AML. It's something much more fundamental. It's about sovereignty. It's about establishing rules in commerce and relationships. It's about creating a little box where we agree how we're going to treat each other, what's sacred, what's disclosed, what's not disclosed, what the commercial terms are, how dispute resolution is going to work, and all these things. And we create a little private system between individuals, companies, and nation states. And we agree to follow that. And all the assets under that dominion, even if your country has nuclear weapons and giant navy and they're scary, you can't violate it. You have to follow it. The machine checks it. So this is how you restore trust, because once you have these types of capabilities, then people calm down. Then people understand it's okay, there's rules here. We can get along, we can trust each other, we can work together. And that's what restores freedom of association, commerce, and expression. It brings people back together. The blockchain space, since I was here in Osaka and Tokyo in 2015, and I keep saying it, I was at the TED Talk in 2014 in Bermuda, I keep saying the same thing. It's about freedom. It's about pushing power to the edges. It's about restoring human agency. It's about, for all of you, giving you something where you get to decide. Be your own bank. Own your own identity. Control your own money. And with this, be in charge of your data. You get to decide what they get to see, how they get to see it, what the rules of the relationship are. It's a very foundational thing. And it's equally important to the Japanese government as it is the individual. It's equally important to the UK government as it is the individual, because we live in this big world. I had dinner once with the Prime Minister of Georgia, and I remember I asked him, well, how come you never issued a digital lari? That's their local currency. And he said, oh, we tried. And the IMF showed up, and they said, you can't do it. Imagine this. You're the president of your country, the leader of your nation, democratically elected. You have a mandate, and you decide you're going to do something with your own currency in your own country. And then a transnational body you have no control over, you didn't elect, you're not connected to, shows up and says you're not allowed to do that. And if you do, there's consequences. Is that sovereignty? Do the people of Georgia really feel like they have a voice and they have control? They don't. So that's why these things exist. It restores and rebalances, and everybody gets a seat at the table. And everybody gets to trust each other again, and everybody feels like they're respected at the end of the day. That's why we built Midnight. We wanted to have something for the cryptocurrency space, 33 blockchains, and you can pay in anything. It means this is just as much a Solana project and an Ethereum project and a Bitcoin project as it is a Cardano project. This is just as much a project for governments as it is for individuals. And this is just as much a project for everyday people who just want their lives back and their privacy back in this big scary world of AI and all these wars and all these other things that are happening in a world where we can't trust each other anymore and there's no truth anymore. You can't believe the pictures you see, the videos you see online anymore. It's getting harder and harder to determine objective reality. So for years and years and years, we worked on all of this. I spent an enormous amount of my own money on it, which meant that I also had freedom. See, because I never took any venture capital and I never took any external investors, I just financed it completely myself. I didn't have to do an ICO. And I didn't have to sculpt the tokenomics to take care of investors or anything. You know what we did? We gave it away. 8 different ecosystems, 7 blockchains. We just gave an airdrop, and then if you didn't participate in that, you could mine it. People mined it. They had fun with it. And we created a large distribution. And now there's about 1 million plus people that hold it. Network's launching soon. It's a good start. But I wanted to have something out there that was like Bitcoin. It was pure. And it wasn't connected to somebody's goal of making money. I wanted to have something that was just very simply constructed that you could then use for your projects. So part of the Japan tour was not only to explain this, but then also to talk to businesses, talk to individuals, get ambassadors, and get people actually building things here. Maybe you have a great idea for a dating app where you can prove that you're over 6 feet tall, you're STD free, and you're actually a doctor. Maybe you have a great idea for some intellectual property system where you can just easily license something. So if you create anime or you create a video game and I want to buy a license, you just send some funds and it creates an NFT. It's like a vending machine for IP. Maybe you have a great idea for a payment system where you want to be able to tip your favorite YouTubers or other people, but you want to keep it anonymous, the tips, so people can't see where the money's coming from. That's your business. Go build something. And what was so cool about Midnight is it's the product of many things. We didn't start from Cardano technology. We have Cardano and Aptos and Zcash and Parity Substrate and all these other things. It's written in Rust. The programming language is TypeScript. That's JavaScript. It's accessible to everyone. We thought really carefully, how do we build this for maximum impact? How do we build this in a way where everybody can use it? Technologies that everybody knows how to use. Now, the legacy of Cardano is it's secure. We launched decentralized. We have an amazing ecosystem that truly understands the value of cryptocurrencies, and they fought hard and bled hard for 10 years to earn that. So that means when we launch, it's the most decentralized, and it's one of the most secure cryptocurrencies to launch in 2026. That's the legacy of Cardano. And Cardano stake pool operators secure it. So if you're an ADA holder, you get 2 income streams now. You get ADA at night. How about that? It's good. You bring it together. But if it was just Cardano, it's not enough because it would be an island. I want to bring it to every bank, government. I want to bring it to every company. I want to bring it to every individual. I want to bring it to every cryptocurrency because privacy is a God-given right. It's something that as a human being you are entitled to, and by leveraging it, you can have safe transactions with people. If you're a parent, I'd like you to have a social network that when you're 10-year-olds in the network, it's only 10-year-olds and there's no 40-year-old in that network. Pretty obvious, right? But I would, especially given recent events, probably a pretty good thing to have. And when you think about this, the more you go down that train, the more you want it, the more you desire it, then you know it's magical. And the power of being able to get it to work on a phone with just a fingerprint and a PIN code means that I know that everyone in the world can use it. And everyone in the world can have it in just a few years' time. So that's what Midnight's basically about. It's a project of love and passion. It's a project that has quite a bit of pragmatism in it, but quite a bit of principles in it at the same time. There is a phenomenal team that's behind it. The Midnight Foundation has wonderful leadership. Fahmi Syed is here along with his team, and they have worked tirelessly and hard. I have never seen people put in the hours they put in. The average is like 19 hours a day, except for the weekends because he wants to stay married, so it's only 17 hours. And it's exciting to see that, and it's exciting to see that passion that people have. It's exciting also for the Cardano ecosystem because people ask, how will our dApps compete? How will our dApps get the next million users and grow? How will we beat Solana? How will we beat Ethereum? You don't beat them by being slightly better, faster, and cheaper. You beat them by doing this, doing things that people have never done before in ways that are so simple and easy to understand, and having products that other people don't have. That's how you win. So the other cool part about Midnight is we get to bring the whole Cardano ecosystem along. All those builders who have been loyal, and they've been in the trenches for years, and they couldn't raise the capital. They couldn't get listed on major exchanges. They couldn't get the transaction volume. They couldn't get the TVLs, but they're here, they believe in the message, and they care. We don't leave people behind. They were here for us, we're here for them. Midnight's going to let them sell and bring that to 33 different ecosystems and get customers from all over the world in ways that they've never seen before. So that's the other magic of it. We wanted to tell people this is not a separate project. This is a continuation of what we started together in 2015. We wanted to decentralize the world. We want to bring everybody together. And we're going to do it. So the remaining presentations are going to show you what the ecosystem's about. They're going to talk a bit about how we're actually going to make this simple and easy. The next speaker is my very good friend, the CTO of the Midnight Foundation, Sebastian. He actually speaks Japanese. He lives here. And he's going to talk about the wazification of the Midnight stack. How do you actually get it to one-click install? Because the other thing that you expect isn't just the fingerprint and the PIN code. You need the App Store. How do you find the apps? How do you install the apps? How do you curate the apps? Because it's all about the app, and he figured it out. So thank you all so much.
Yeah, みんなご参加いただきありがとうございます。So my name is Sebastian. I'm the CTO of the Midnight Foundation. And so my role at the foundation is primarily to think about where we're trying to go. How can we make the technology, the right bets work today to get to the users tomorrow? So obviously, as Charles mentioned, we're currently on testnet right now. We're marching towards mainnet. And we want to make sure that when we deploy all this great technology that the team's been working on for so many years, that we're able to actually get users and get people to come in and build stuff and use stuff and have a great time and really fall in love with Midnight. And to highlight how difficult this is, as Charles mentioned, these kinds of ideas like ZK are not new ideas. In fact, some of these technologies have been around for over 40 years. And despite this, Midnight, as I mentioned, is not the first ZK project. And I know many people in this room have probably used Midnight. But to get an idea of how difficult it is to use this technology, anybody who has used a ZK project other than Midnight, please raise your hand, either as a developer or as a user. Look how few people, maybe 10 people, maybe even less than that in the entire room, have used this privacy technology before. Why is that? The technology is so great, it's so powerful, why have people not used it? Well, if you try and use any of these tools today, it is extremely difficult, especially if you're not a domain expert. You have to go download 10 different tools, read some papers, figure out what you're doing, how it works, and it can often take weeks, if not more, to even get a grasp of how to get started with these technologies. And that's very hard for even a professional, let alone an end user. And this is really bad because you're saying to fall in love with our technology, first you have to commit a whole week to even learning if this is the right technology for you. And nobody realistically wants to do that. They want to figure out, can I build my business with technology? Out of all the tools in the market, which one is the right for me? Which one is right for my use case? Which one is the right for my needs? And they can't afford to spend a week on every single product to try it out to even know if this is the right tool for them. And that's why for a lot of people, they hear about ZK, they hear about these ideas, and they're, oh, this is awesome. And they get fired up and they go on Google and let me figure out how to use this ZK thing, and then it's just overwhelming for them and they can't figure it out. And so we want to try and make sure that falling in love with Midnight is easy. For businesses, for users, they can onboard and have a good time. So how do we actually make this happen? We have 3 big technology bets that we're making to really bring this to the market. The first one is bringing everything to the browser. So a lot of people are not willing to download software onto their machine just to try something out, especially in the crypto space, where anything you download could be malicious software that takes your cryptocurrency, right? People don't want to download. They want to just go to the browser, get an experience, see if this is something that they want to dedicate some time to. And so the technology we're using for this is this new concept called WASM components. So you might have heard this concept of WASM before. Came out in 2018. It allows you to run applications directly in your browser. But there's this new standards coming out called WASM components. And what it allows you to do is take different programs, different applications, different things, bundle them up into the same web page and have them communicate with each other. So why is this important? Why am I telling you about this? What we really want to build is something like a Midnight OS. So you go to this website, you go to the Midnight OS website. From this website, you can run a Midnight node, you can run a wallet, you can run some dApps, you can find some dApps, you can run your developer experience, get started either as a developer or as a user directly in the page. You're not getting documentation, you're not getting a video, you're getting the real user experience, and right away you can be a user or a developer right there in your browser. And so historically, that was a bit too difficult to really coordinate. There were some standards with WebAssembly and these other technologies in the past, but it was very hard to glue these things together. You end up with a bunch of black boxes, and it was hard to build a cohesive experience. But there's been a lot of recent work, thanks to AI, where people want to have sandbox AIs and AIs connecting to each other. And this has driven a lot of companies to make large investments into how do we properly sandbox and get a bunch of things running together in the browser. And so we're able to leverage this technology to bring this kind of cohesiveness and composability to the ZK space as well. And we're making a lot of really good progress on this. But there's another big technology that we need to make this possible, which is how do we make something run in the browser fast? Now, why do people download software to their computers? Because on the desktop, you'll get a much faster, smoother experience than you can get on the browser. And we're trying to ship complex experiences directly to the browser, and we don't want people to feel like it's slow, it's hard, it doesn't work well, it doesn't render well. And so to leverage this, to solve this, we're using this new technology called Web GPU, which also got standardized in all the browsers only a few months ago, but allows you to connect your computer's GPU directly to the browser. What that means is that the browser is no longer abstraction that slows everything down, everything renders slowly, but you can access the direct power of your computer directly from the browser. This is, again, an innovation that's primarily driven by AI, where they wanted AI computation to run the browser as fast as it would run natively on your desktop. But we're able to leverage these technologies as well for 2 key aspects. One is to generate the ZK proofs. We talked about all the math and cryptography required. We now have access to desktop proving speeds directly in the browser through WebGPU, through GPU acceleration. So you can make all the ZK technology run much faster than was able before. But you can actually do better than this, which is the WebAssembly technology I talked about earlier actually allows you to sandbox applications rendered by this web GPU, rendered by your GPU directly. So it allows you to have kind of like a native looking desktop app rendered directly through the GPU on your browser. So with this, we're able to build this kind of dApp store that properly sandboxes, so dApps can't steal anybody's funds. But it sandboxes not just the dApp logic, but it sandboxes the rendering code as well. So it helps solve a lot of the issues that previous dApp stores had, which was how do you run untrusted user UI code inside the browser. And so thanks to this technology, we're able to solve this problem as well. So great, with these two technologies I mentioned, WASI, which is this WASMification stack, and then Web GPU, we're now able to get all our components running in the browser, and we get people to deploy dApps and run in the browser, and users come into our Midnight OS website, get a good time, and start building stuff. There's one last key technology that we've been working on to make this really powerful, which is, okay, you can get these apps running, but how do you get privacy in these applications? So historically, ZK systems, these privacy solutions, are really powerful, but they have one key downside, which is they're optimized for one-time, one-off computations. You start a computation, you finish the computation, you're done. Now, there are some use cases where this works well. For example, you're doing a swap on a DEX. You're just doing a small calculation. I want to swap X for Y. You do the swap, you're done. It's a one-off calculation. But there are a lot of programs that are not one-off, that there are long running calculation that has to update many times over time. I think a good example of this is, imagine you are running a Game Boy or a Nintendo, one of these game consoles, for example. A game console does not run for a bit and then shut off. It keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going until you shut off the game. So these old ZK techniques are not able to handle these kinds of computations. And this actually ends up mattering a lot because, for example, if you're running a store and you want to figure out proof of your inventory or proof of carbon credits, you need to have a running computation every time somebody comes in your store, purchase something, you're updating some long-running proof that you then settle with the government at the end of the business day. So these kinds of long-running computations happen all over the place, both in your desktop, in the real world, in gaming space, and many other spheres. And ZK was not able to do these properly. But we've been spending a lot of time investing in this new concept called folding, which allows you to have not just the proof of the program execution, not only allows you to have privacy in program execution, but allows you to model long-running programs as well. So what this means in the context of the Midnight OS is that now we have a single website you can go to, you can download these applications, they run really fast, they run in a sandbox way, but you can also, on all applications you download, you have a proof privacy-enabled mode that you can turn on, and then the entire computation of that application becomes private and provable. And so it allows us to build a super powerful OS that connects all the key pieces, all these technologies together, and allows people to fall in love with Midnight easily. Because that's the end goal. We want people to go to this website, they can easily get started, download some apps, turn on the privacy mode, get a feel for the experience, and come out thinking, this Midnight technology is really awesome. Let me look into this, let me build my business on this, let me become a user, and that's what we want to enable. So that's the technical vision, but of course, no project is one small team. There are many people involved in the Midnight project, and one of the many people that makes that possible is Fami, who's the president of the Midnight Foundation. So I'm going to invite him on stage to talk more about all our partners and all the other people that are making this Midnight project possible.
Thank you, Seba. Hello, Tokyo. Nice to be here. It's my second time in Japan, and I've got to say, I love it. The food is wonderful. The people are even better, and we've got a great turnout here. I'm going to try and keep this very simple and talk about what is the vision of Midnight. What are we doing? What are the kind of partners? And hopefully I get a couple of you or a handful of you to be interactive and join us. So I want to start with the promise that blockchain gave you. I mean, Charles has been here many times in Japan. There are other founders. And what did Bitcoin give you as the original philosophy of blockchain? It was the ability to own your own assets, to be unrestricted, to not be censored by either your bank or by authorities. And that vision came about because in 2008, if you go back that far, almost 20 years ago now, wow, time flies, the financial crisis meant that the money that you earned, that you worked very hard for, was locked in a bank. It wasn't yours. The banks decided what they did with that money. And when you needed it most, you couldn't access it. And so blockchain and Bitcoin came about because they tried to move away from that censorship to give you that direct access and that ownership. But that blockchain promise and all of the blockchains that have come since, whether Ethereum, Cardano, and others, came with a compromise. And that compromise was transparency. Everything you do on a blockchain, everything you own, is visible to everybody forever. It's immutable. And if you think about that, that's not how you live your lives. Everything you do is not visible to everyone. You have your secrets, you have your confidentiality. Businesses also operate in that same way. So when systems don't respect those boundaries, what results is slow adoption. If you think about why any of you hold ADA or other cryptocurrencies, it's because you believed in that vision. But what real-world applications actually use blockchain technology? With that compromise around transparency, adoption has slowed. Real businesses aren't using it for real purposes. And that erosion of trust over time means more and more people are more skeptical about using blockchain technology. And that value that you put on a blockchain leaks. It shows not only what do you hold, but how you behave. For individuals and for businesses, that's a key risk. So what Midnight is bringing is not just privacy, but rational privacy. It's proof without exposures. So I'm going to ask and just conduct a small experiment here. And Taro, who's our wonderful country manager here in Japan, is going to help me. So we're going to do some live translations as well.
少し、簡単にミッドナイトというですね、技術を少しゲーム感覚でですね、エクササイズの方をさせていただきますので、ちょっと皆さんご参加の方をしていただければなと思ってます。
So, please raise your hand if after this conversation, this presentation, you're willing to come up to me and tell me your name.
この、参加者の中でこのプレゼンテーション終わった後にファーミンさんに自分のお名前を開示お伝えすることに対して問題ないと思う方は手を挙げてください。
Okay, keep your hands raised.
このまま手を挙げてください。
So there's nothing private about your name.
名前に関してはそこまでプライバシーという部分に対してそこまで。
When you come to me with your name and you share it with me, you're creating a bond, a trust.
お名前を開示するということに関してはですね、ファーミさんとの関係性を作るだったりとか、ボンドを作る、近くなるっていうところに対しての合図ではあるという形になります。
Keep your hand raised and only raised if you're willing to tell me if you're an ADA holder.
この中でADAホルダーがある方であれば、それを開示してもいいっていう方は手をそのまま上げておいてください。開示をしたくない方は手を下げてください。
Okay, still a lot of hands.
まだ手はいっぱいありますね。
Keep your hand raised if you're willing to tell me exactly how much ADA you hold.
この中でどれだけ実際にADAの価格のすべてを開示してもいいっていう方はこのまま手を挙げておいてください。
And if you're willing to tell me your address.
じゃあ最後にこの中で自分の住所まで教えてもいいですよっていう方がいるのであれば住所まで教えていただける方は手をまだ挙げておいてください。
Okay, so there's a couple of hands left over, but the vast majority have put your hands down. With each question, you decided that was too private, too sensitive a level of information to share. That is rational privacy. We walk it and live it every day of our lives, both our physical lives and our digital lives. And that's what Midnight is bringing to a blockchain. So what we are giving you at Midnight is privacy by default. When you are private as your starting position, you are protected. And then you have disclosure by choice. Privacy is not about hiding something. It's about protecting what you have. And privacy, if done in the right way, is about choice. Giving you the choice about what you're willing to share with each other, with a counterpart, with a bank, with an agency, with your government. So at Midnight, what we are trying to do is not only build strong blockchains with the ability to protect your private information for you to share it, but we're building a system that is here for the long term, not for short-term games, not for crypto trading. I came into blockchain from the financial world because of what the infrastructure can do. The promise that blockchain would provide a truth layer to my financial transactions, to my transactions and interactions with governments, with agencies. It's been overtaken by trading, by the gamification. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if we're going to see real adoption from large corporations like Sony, Mitsubishi, and others, we need to build systems that are built for the long term, and we align that to Cardano's vision. So what becomes possible? You get private user balances and activity. What does that mean? So we're working with a regulated bank, the potential to bring their deposits on-chain. Now, your bank accounts are all private in the traditional sense. You're never going to put that bank account on a blockchain if everybody can see what you do. So we're working with a regulated bank to bring private deposits on-chain to give them access to different liquidity pools. They need those pools to be private. They need those pools to be verified so it's not there's no contagion risk to external people. These are the kind of technology that Midnight, through its proof, can bring. We're bringing selective disclosure for compliance. So Charles spoke about smart compliance. Smart compliance works in many ways, both at the entry level and also the exit settlement level. Many applications exist today, tokens exist today on many blockchains. Think about stablecoins. Most stablecoins, the actual compliance is off-chain. With Midnight, you can bring that compliance on-chain. So you could have stablecoins, a JPYC, for example, which is only open to Japanese individuals. And your identity at the point of purchase as a proof gives you access to that. So you create different liquidity pools. And you create confidential business logic within that smart contract. So think of a casino app, a gambling app. The smart contract and the compliance that Midnight allows and enables through the proofs is like the bouncer at the casino door. You provide proof of your age. I am old enough to be in the casino. You provide proof that I'm from a country or a jurisdiction that enables me to gamble. And then finally, you provide proof of your assets without disclosing what those are, that you have enough money or credit to come and gamble. All of that done in a confidential way that allows that casino to open its doors to you, that application to you. But that proof works both ways. When you're playing Texas Hold'em, and I understand poker is a big game, not blackjack in Japan, you have proof that the cards are being dealt fairly, that there are only 4 aces in the pack, that there are no jokers, that nobody is gaming you. So Midnight's proof system works both ways. It's not just a one-way verification. And we have many partners already. I think we have over 100 partners, small and big, who are interested in building on Midnight's technology. So what we're building is technology, blockchain, innovation, not just for today, not to compete with today's blockchain. This is the next blockchain, the 4th generation of the blockchain, the one that ushers in not only use cases for retail, but use cases for everyone. Use cases that will last not just the next cycle, but for decades. And that is important. Charles has a vision. Our job at the foundation is to deliver on that vision. Is to grow the ecosystem, to nurture developers, to go and find business partners, small and large enterprises who recognize. And we succeed when this technology becomes invisible. Nobody should be talking about technology apart from Charles and his vision, because nobody really buys tech. They buy feelings. They buy a process. And what Midnight should become is that privacy layer supporting both Web3 businesses and Web2 businesses to last not just this cycle, but for decades. So I'm going to introduce somebody very special at the foundation. Lauren Lee is our head of DevRel. So Lauren is going to talk about how you build technologies and apps using Midnight. She is head of DevRel. She has done an amazing job taking the story of Midnight to the developer community, creating an ambassador group. I want to hand over to her, but I thank you all very much for your time. Please do come and tell me your name. I'm happy to speak to you about Midnight. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahmi. Oh, thank you. Let's give a round of applause for Fahmi. Thank you so much. So Fahmi and Charles walked us through the vision, where Midnight is headed, why privacy matters, what Midnight makes possible. I want to pause and talk about a practical question that I get hit with, and I think that maybe some of you might be thinking right now. What does this actually mean for the builders and the teams who are already here? Most of the teams that we speak to are not starting from zero. They already have Cardano applications. They already understand UTXOs, governance, compliance pressure, and real users. Midnight is not asking teams to throw anything away. This is not a rewrite. This is an extension. Teams come to Midnight when balance becomes sensitive. User behavior becomes linkable, and business logic stops being something you want public forever. Midnight exists for that moment. You keep that what works on Cardano and add privacy only where it creates real value. I want to be very explicit about something because I think that this is where maybe people self-select out too early. You do not need to be a developer to participate in Midnight. Some of the most important work that any early ecosystem does is it happens with the community. In fact, those of the Night Force, the ambassador program for Midnight, can you please raise your hand? Say hello. Stand up, in fact. Let's actually see where you are in the room. Yes. I want to see waves. Hello. You're important. You matter in this ecosystem. So it happens when trust is earned by those who show up consistently and explain things through translation, through local leadership. If ecosystems were built by code alone, many of the projects we admire would never have survived their first year. They survive because people show up, they explain, they connect, they carry context across communities in roles where we see patterns, and we need to show that technical systems fail where there's no human layer for them to be supported. This is launched very recently, and it's growing every single day. It's not a social media program. The Night Force it's not about posting online. It's about stewardship, helping people understand what Midnight is and what it isn't, connecting builders, operators, institutions, and communities to the right resources, and bringing feedback from your local region back to us to improve the systems. Ambassadors help Midnight grow in a way that respects local context, different countries, different regulatory realities, different cultural norms. That input is going to shape how Midnight evolves. It's going to help us, Midnight's vision of rational privacy, become reality to the world. The Night Force is growing, and if you'd like to join us, this is your call to action. Come find the ambassadors and speak to them after these talks. But this level of responsibility is not for everyone. That's intentional. This is for people who care deeply about trust as infrastructure, who think in years, not weeks, who want to help shape how an ecosystem grows, not just extract from it. If you're looking for short-term momentum, we all know that there are many places for that. Midnight is for people who are willing to build something that still matters years from now. when you care about an ecosystem, what it looks like years from now, you have to invest in how people grow into it. Two concrete examples are programs that just launched within the last month, in fact. That's the Midnight Developer Academy and Build Club. The Academy is designed to help people move from curiosity to real capability in a structured curriculum from blockchain fundamentals all the way to building dApps on Midnight through curriculum. And the Build Club is for teams that already have an idea and want to pressure test it. They can move from concept towards something investment ready in an 8-week-long cohorted program. We're not even live yet, and we're beyond scattered tutorials. We're providing a clear next step pathway. Some people will start via these routes. Others will come in through partners, as Fahmi mentioned. My team hosts lots of hackathons. I would love for you to participate and come in via those routes. Or perhaps community leadership like the Night Force. The diversity of entry point is intentional, and it's by design. For those of you interested in getting started, the foundation is already in place. We have many teams whose job it is to support you as you move forward in whatever it might look like. So if you're curious, we can connect you with the right people after the session. They're here, and I would like to think that they're approachable. So please be sure to come find us and meet us. We would like to meet you wherever you are in your journey. So here is our QR code. The fastest way to join is by joining our Discord. Whether you want to learn, contribute, or build, we welcome it. We want you to get started. Welcome to Midnight, folks. We have a secret word. I'm just going to point to it really fast because I want you to get points. And with that, I will pass it off to Kavi.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Lauren. Well, good evening, everybody. And Tokyo, this is our last stop of a long tour, as Charles mentioned. We started off in Sapporo in cold weather, and we brought the coldest day to Tokyo to finish things off. But let me speak about something slightly different, because Cardano started here in Japan. So I think this is the perfect place to talk about this. How Cardano is evolving now. We are growing up. We are learning new capabilities without losing the principles we started with. We are learning how to scale and collaborate without centralizing. And also, we are learning how to add new partners without fragmenting the ecosystem. This is why you see Intersect and Midnight up here on the screen. Is it as a headline or an announcement? No, I would say it's more like a signal. Signal as to how this ecosystem is evolving into the next phase and how things like governance, collaboration, and delivery are just as important topics as much as the code, as much as the technology itself. So when you go into that, the first thing is, what exactly is Intersect? So Intersect is Cardano's member-based organization, the MBO, which supports the on-chain governing mechanism as well as the ecosystem collaboration. So we are fairly a young organization. We've been there for about 2 years, but we've done really big things. And when you talk about governance, I think one of the main things that we must also understand is when an ecosystem matures, there are different things that come into play. We have multiple founding entities now. We have individual teams who are building, companies, enterprises, and we have an on-chain governing mechanism, as I said. So when we have all of those things, we also need a coordination layer to make sure that things don't get slowed down because in decentralized environments, things tend to get slowed down a little bit. So, as I said, when you speak about governance, to any type of good governance, you need 3 pillars. Some notion of democratic consent, some notion of institutions, and a constitution. If someone's telling you you can do it without the other one, they're definitely lying to you. Because you need all 3. So, the constitution, we are the only ecosystem that has a constitution that has, like Charles said, that has been ratified by input from the community from around the world. More than 50 countries, more than 63 workshops around the world came together to create this constitution. And that's what governs this ecosystem now. And it's a living and breathing document because when you say a constitution, sometimes people tend to get scared thinking, oh, you can't change things, you got to live with this forever. But no. We had the first constitutional amendment proposed by a Japanese community member, which was approved by DREPs living globally. So what does that tell you? That tells you that ecosystem now is owned by you, the community. You own it and you govern it. So with that, we unlocked Cardano's treasury. So last year, we had the first community budgeting cycle. And Intersect helps administer that. We're currently administering over 345 million ADA worth of contracts. So last year, when we started this governance process, we didn't really have a path to go on. So we had to create the path as we went on. So maybe it might have not been the perfect path, but we got it done. We have a path now. So going into 2026, we're trying to refine these processes even more so you can participate. So governance doesn't have to feel so complicated. And Intersect is there to help you do that. So where does Midnight fit into all of this? So Midnight is now an enterprise member of Intersect. That's great news. Why? Because in Intersect, you have committees, you have working groups, you have governance discussions that are taking place. And now Midnight is at the heart of all of that. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they're bringing their expertise directly into Cardano's heart of integrations. Why is this important? Because privacy, selective disclosure, compliance-aware designs, these are things you build into products and services earlier on. Because that's how you get better systems. Because if you add them later, you're going to get bad trade-offs, and that's not a good thing. So you need them. And now, these are right at the heart of Cardano's ecosystem too. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Midnight and Cardano are symbiotic. They work hand in hand. And these are things that we need for better systems. So if you zoom out slightly a little bit and go back to the past, as you know, Cardano started in a way that not any other ecosystem has ever started. We were very much principled. We build things with first principles. That's why we are succeeding. So these things didn't just apply to the protocol design itself. They're getting applied to governance, to coordination, to delivery, and to our vision for 2030, which you're seeing right here. This is exactly what it is. Secure, reliable, censorship-resistant infrastructure for mission-critical applications. It's a lot of big words. But why? Why is it there? What does exactly mission-critical applications mean? These are systems that, whoa. Yeah, going back. There we go. Oh, whoa. All right. So these are big things. Sorry about that. There we go. Why do we need mission-critical applications? That's why. So making sure that these things don't move away or like create things that you're not supposed to. That's what happens when you go fast and break things. So we will move slow. That's how we did things. We moved slow, but we got things done We did things the right way, and we're continuing to go down that path. So what does that tell you? How is this convergence happening? This is how I see it. Cardano is providing the foundational layer, the decentralization, the security, the governance legitimacy. And partners like Midnight is extending that foundation with privacy, selective disclosure, compliance-aware designs, transparency within reason, so that real-world applications and systems can function without compromising trusts. These gets applied to governments, to institutions, to enterprises, and individuals who need them. And where does Intersect come into all of this? Intersect is the intersection point where all of these capabilities are coming together. And that's how systems really mature without breaking. So there's a big orange slide up here. That's how I knew that it changed. But this is great. This is very bright. Why? Because I want all of you to scan this QR code and join Intersect. It's completely free. This is where the conversations happen. This is where all of you get a chance to be a part of this ecosystem. You don't have that in any other ecosystem. Here, you have a pathway. You have a voice. You could be a builder, just a community member, could be someone who's learning blockchain. Be a part of Intersect. You don't have to even be from this ecosystem. We welcome everybody. Join Intersect. Get into these conversations. Be a part of it. And that's how you shape the future of Cardano. So we have a tagline at Intersect which we use. And I've been saying this throughout this tour, and I'll finish off with that too. So we say, let's build the future of Cardano together. But what it actually means is that let's build the future of blockchain technology together. Intersect is the human layer. And we have so many partnerships going on right now, like the Pentad. We have Input-Output Group. We have the Cardano Foundation. We have Emergo. We have the Midnight Foundation, together with Intersect, helping out critical infrastructure upgrades and partnerships for Cardano. So we are getting it done. It's already being done. And Intersect is there coordinating all of that. So please do join. And thank you once again, Tokyo and Japan, for being a part of this journey. And I continue to hope that all of you come through with us in this journey. Thank you once again. Now I would like to invite my friend Christina from Blink Labs to talk about Cardano client diversity.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Christina Gianelloni, and I am the COO of Blink Labs. I also chair the board of Pragma, and I'm here to talk to you about client diversity. You'll also hear me refer to this as node diversity. So what happens when 100% of a network depends on a single code base? We don't actually have to wonder. Let's just look at a little history real quick. In 2016, Ethereum had the Shanghai DOS attack. Now this was, at the time, Geth was 88% of the client base, and Parity was the minority client. So again, with that diversity. And on the morning of DevCon 2, a malicious actor found a vulnerability and exploited it. And they actually took down the network. And the developers worked really hard, and they actually got it back up. Great thing, right? Except this person, this malicious actor, continued to attack the network for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, block production slowed down, and users faced outages. Now, ultimately, it was resolved, but it took 2 hard forks and additional weeks of off-chain work to clean everything up and get it back running the way they needed it to. But we don't have to look so far back. Let's just look at last year. Cardano had our own DOS attack. Now, a bug was identified on testnet. Somebody submitted a malformed transaction. It's an accident, it happened, and it was quickly fixed. And then, the next day, a malicious actor took that same bug and they took it to mainnet. And we saw a temporary but painful fork. And a lot of collaboration was required to resolve this. I'm very proud to say that with all the developers working together, they were able to get the SPOs upgraded, and it only took 14 hours. No hard forks required. Great on us. A lot of this came down to the SPOs, though. The diversity that we had, the SPOs running different versions of the node actually saved us. So let's talk a little bit about node diversity. Node diversity means having multiple independent, interoperable implementations of a single blockchain spec. That's a lot of buzzwords for you right there. But basically what I'm trying to say is it's the same code, or the same protocol, but different code. We're going to use different code, and we're going to avoid sharing vulnerabilities. Using different languages means we have different design choices. We can make things that work for specific needs, and we get to build a different way, but we're all conforming to the same spec. We all have to agree that this is a valid block. So why do we care about node diversity? Well, we already talked a little bit about how bugs can be prevented. We're not carrying the same flaws across. But let's go beyond that. Let's talk about organizational risks. If you think about, you might have teams that maybe they're struggling with funding, maybe they're struggling with development, maybe a team has to stop developing. And if we have this diversity, we continue on. Cardano doesn't stop. We can also talk about the innovation. Obviously, we're all competing a bit. We want to build the best product for our customers. We all have features that we really enjoy, we really like. But I really want to call attention to the fact that we collaborate. We share. We talk about our wins. We talk about our losses. We share what's worked for us, and we help each other build better products as a result. So I want to tell you a little bit about some of the different nodes. I know a lot of these are great teams. I'm not going to get into the technical detail, but what I really want to emphasize is we have a lot of different programming languages being used right now. They allow for different features. They're going to make some things better and faster in different ways depending on what you need. But this also is something that's really important to me. We're going to allow developers to meet us at the language they're comfortable with. I'm delighted so many of you understand English. We're able to meet together here at this language. It would take me so long to learn Japanese to share this presentation with you, but we're meeting here. And that's what we're going to do with developers. Developers outside the ecosystem can come and look at the node in the language they're most comfortable with. We're not asking everybody to learn Haskell anymore. So I'm going to high level these. I'm going to tell you about the team. I'm going to tell you about the language. And there's some bullet points. You can look at the technical stuff, but I'm not going to go into great detail. So the first one we're going to talk about is Amaru. Amaru is a Cardano node implemented in Rust, and its development is largely funded by the Cardano community. A particular point of pride is that we did the first treasury proposal that went through. We are very proud of this. We had so much support from the ecosystem, and we were really demonstrating governance. This one's my favorite because it's mine. Another one we have is Dingo. Dingo is a Cardano node in Go. And a particular point that we're very proud of is it's a pretty small team. We are largely unfunded. We did receive some funding from Catalyst. I have one full-time developer working on this, 2 part-time developers, and a handful of paid open source contributors. We are open source people at heart. Everything about this is available in GitHub, and we love to have people participate. I actually recently hired a young man in Tokyo who is now a part of my paid open source contributor projects. Another one we have is Dolos. Dolos is a Cardano node implemented in Rust. The team behind it is TX Pipe. And one point that they're particularly proud of is the support for all historical errors. This is something a lot of the other nodes are still working towards. Another one is Girolamo. Girolamo is implemented in TypeScript and is funded by the Cardano community. Now this is by Harmonic Labs. You also hear them referred to as H Labs. Girolamo wanted to let you know that they do have a treasury proposal that'll be coming out soon, and they hope you'll keep your eyes out for it. Another one is Scaleless. I know it says TypeScript, but it's actually written in Scala, which is helping with TypeScript and helping with JVM. And this is really important for JavaScript. Two more. I don't have a lot of technical details for you, but I wanted to point them out because we have Turbo Cardano, that's in C++, and we also have Razor, which is in C#. So let's talk a little bit more about the broader ecosystem. One of the great things that has happened is us coming together. We've come together and we've had node diversity workshops. IOG has run one of them, and Amaru has run another. And this has given developers a chance to get together in the same room and start talking about conformance testing, talk about specifications. We're really working to define what Cardano is, and the protocol is a shared resource. And to expand on that, we have the Cardano blueprint. This is a great project that shows the open source reference for the Cardano protocol, and all the developers have come together to share their input on it, and this is going to help future developers make new nodes. We are documenting and we're pretty much making it a how-to step-by-step. You can know exactly how it all works. So let's talk about the big picture here. This is beyond just decentralization. It's not just about the SPOs. Okay. And it's not just about the SPOs. We have diversified the software that they're running. The very essence of Cardano is becoming decentralized. Obviously, we have protocol improvements because we're going to have more eyes looking at the code. More people looking at the code means we're going to find bugs, we're going to find ways we can improve it, and this is a great thing for everybody. Let's also talk about that lowering the barrier of entry, and this is what I had mentioned with developers. We want to make it easier for people to come and join us. You know Rust, you know Go, you know TypeScript. Come on, we can work with you. It doesn't have to be Haskell. If you want to do Haskell, that's always an option. And of course, enterprise readiness. I have a strong enterprise background. I have worked from startups to Fortune 100s. I've done mergers and acquisitions around the world. And I'm telling you this because enterprise prefers a multi-client strategy for resilience. This is what we need to be. We're already showing this. We're already providing this. We are showing enterprise that we're getting there. We have what you need. So Cardano development is not slowing down. It's expanding. We have teams that might have disagreed on things that are working together. We are working toward the shared common goal of a more mature, stronger Cardano. The community is using on-chain governance to vote and fund its own infrastructure. And Cardano is showing us what a mature, decentralized development environment should look like. All that said, I do also have a QR code for you to scan. Now, I have 3 things there, and I only want you to pick one. You don't have to do everything. If you click this link, it'll take you to a website that'll direct you to the Cardano blueprint for developers. If you would like to contribute, by all means, this is open source. We want your contributions. If you're an ADA holder, there's a link to our governance. I want you to make sure that your DREP or SPO is voting in favor of node diversity. You follow up with them. And of course, I have an article from Pi Lanningham from Sunday Labs. Pi was a key contributor to resolving the issue that we had last year in November, and he wrote a great article. It'll tell you what went wrong, what went right, and his lessons learned. Thank you guys so much. I would like to introduce my friend Michael. Come talk about Leios.
Thank you, Christina. It's good to get the blood moving. Actually, it's quite cold up the front. Well, I'm the last one to present this evening before we wrap up. And so last but not least, and we can have a stiff drink after this together to warm up. So I'm here to present something that's quite exciting, something that's really big for Cardano. So I'm the product manager for Cardano Core at Input Output. And today I'm here to present to you something really great that I'm really thrilled about this year, and that's Ouroboros Leios. So what is Leios? Well, it's an upgrade to layer 1 to make Cardano faster. So what this will do will catapult Cardano to be on par with the competition in terms of transaction throughput and capacity to support more and more users and applications on our network. And I'm really happy to say that we're building this right now. We're in active development, and it's going to be released this year in 2026. So what has been the challenge that has been facing us? Well, up until now, the speed of the network has been around, well, this is the maximum speed, 10 to 15 transactions per second. Well, this may not sound like a big number to you, but actually it has been suitable as we've built the foundation of Ouroboros, proved the design and the robustness of the protocol. But now we need to move on to higher transaction throughput in order to compete and drive further adoption. Another factor, SPOs, so our stake pool operators, they in the long term need to support the cost of the operations from transaction fees instead of from block rewards. And in order to do this, they need to see network usage of around 50 transactions per second. So we can't stay where we are, obviously, at 10 transactions per second. We must move forward. We must move to a higher throughput. And as we do this, it is crucial that we maintain the existing security and resiliency of the network, which is no easy feat given the engineering that's involved to maintain the degree of decentralization that we have in our network that is like no other. So, introducing Leios, Cardano's next generation consensus protocol. With Leios, yes, we will achieve a 50 times improvement in network capacity for the first release, the mainnet. So we're moving from 10 transactions per second to 500 transactions per second. But, yes, but we're not stopping there. That's just the start. This month, we're going to prove, hopefully this month or the next one, but we're going to prove that we can go to 1,000 transactions per second. So we'll be showcasing this. So that'll be the next release. So we're doing this in a stepwise fashion in order to make sure that SPOs come along with us. We can't just go from where we are at 10, 15 transactions per second and go up to 10,000 transactions per second, because this needs to be done in a strategic manner. But this is where we're going. So how does Leios work? Well, there's a lot to it. We've spent a long time in research and planning. So to make it quite simple for you to understand, basically there's a new block. It's called an endorser block. So we have the existing blocks, they're called ranking blocks now, and the new block called an endorser block. And with the endorser block, we can pack a whole lot more transactions, like a lot more. And there's a lot more other things going on. For example, certain blocks are prioritized over others, but I won't go into all that right now. So these are the metrics, just to go over it again, that we're aiming for in the first release this year. So like I said, 50x improvement, a 300 transaction kilobytes per second speed. So that's the exact way that we're measuring it, rather than transactions per second. And a confirmation time of between 20 to 80 seconds. So just to clarify why I'm saying transaction kilobytes per second, this diagram here shows you a typical block. So you can see the gray squares, they represent transactions, and you can see there's lots of different things and scripts in there, and they're all different sizes. So to accurately measure throughput, we measure it in transaction kilobytes per second. And this diagram here just shows you the confirmation times that we've been getting on our prototyping at this stage. And you can see when we get around 300 transaction kilobytes per second, which we're aiming for in this first release, the confirmation time is between 20 and 50 seconds. When we start going faster than that at the moment, you start to see in that last graph that there's congestion happening. So the transactions coming in a bit later, they get queued up in the mempool and take a bit longer. However, this is just the first simple release of our design. We have other improvements, and we're going to be going faster than that. So just to depict it again, to make it clearer, the scales that we're talking about here. So this is the existing protocol that we have at Cardano, and this is Prios. And all these little green dots here along the x-axis, they represent transactions. And the dark green line of transactions, that's the typical throughput we have on the network today. And if we went up to the maximum throughput, that would be all the green dots. That would be all the transactions. So there you can see the full maximum capacity of the network. And you can see those transactions being put into blocks there. So that's around 10, 15 transactions per second. So this is Leios now. So this is showing more transactions that are now getting bundled into these new endorser blocks. And this is actually just depicting 100 transactions per second because I couldn't put all the dots up 5 times higher. And you can see, well, those purple ones down there, they're like voting bundles, but I won't get into that. Now I'm going to show you this short video here that gives you an idea of the scaling. It's not very professional, it's made by me. So this is the 100 transactions per second that I just showed you. But we're not stopping at 100 transactions per second. In this first release, we're going to 500 transactions per second. And like I said, in the coming month, we'll be demonstrating 1,000 transactions per second. So you can just see the scale that we're talking about. And this is where we're going at 10,000 transactions per second. So you can really understand the engineering that's happening here, where we're keeping the same decentralization and bringing the SPOs along with us. Okay, so where are we on our roadmap? So like I mentioned to you, we've done a lot of research, we've done the planning, and we're in active development now. We've done our prototyping and simulations, and we're aiming to have the first public testnet of Leios at the end of Q2 this year. And then we'll be doing the release in the Dijkstra hard fork. So I want to wrap up with telling you why Leios matters for Cardano. Well, it will enable high volume applications. It will reposition Cardano as a high throughput blockchain while maintaining the robust decentralization like no other. And the higher capacity will attract more developers, dApps, and users to our ecosystem. So Leios, 50x improvement in throughput capacity in this first release, all while maintaining the security and decentralization of the network, coming this year in 2026. And now I'll hand over to Charles to wrap up.
God, it's just amazing when you see the scale and scope of the ecosystem and how far we've gone. You know, Ouroboros Leios is very bittersweet for me because Ouroboros Leios didn't begin in 2026. Ouroboros Leios actually began in 2016, 10 years ago. The very first Ouroboros paper, Ouroboros Classic, it was published in a very humble way. And we said, oh, we have this long research agenda and all these checkpoints and all these things we have to do. And we published more than 24 papers. And we've implemented dozens of protocols. And Leios is the product of more than 15 engineering firms throughout the years. And the product of 168 scientists over a 10-year period in institutions as far from Stanford to Tokyo Institute of Technology. It's always going to be Tokyo Tech to me, not this new weird name. And I'm proud of that. I really am. Great problems attract great minds, and everybody wants to work on those things together. Why Leios is special is it's not TPS. It's actually a resolution of the hardest problem in consensus in blockchain, the blockchain trilemma. You may have heard this a lot. You have decentralization. You have security. And you have scalability. What we're told is you can only pick two. Can't have all three. You can be decentralized and fast, but not secure. You can be decentralized and secure, but not fast. This protocol is decentralized, secure, and fast. And that's why it took 10 damn years, because it's new and it's hard. And what's so crazy about it is if the protocol fails to what we have today. It collapses to Ouroboros Praus. The same protocol in Christina's presentation that survived the soft fork that happened last year. Cardano split into two networks. You know what it did? Came back together by itself. When Ethereum split, they had to do 2 hard forks and manual cleanup afterwards to put it back together. It took like 6 months. It took us 14 hours, and we slowed down time just to make sure. That's the magic of good protocol design. Many of you have ridden on the Shinkansen. Why do you have so much faith in that train? Because generations of engineers took the time to build it right. If the brakes fail, there's a redundant system. If that redundant system fails, there's another redundant system. Because they wanted to make sure, absolutely sure, that the train stops. It's the same for rockets, it's the same for planes, it's the same for spacecraft. So why in God's name should the thing that has your identity, your money, your inheritance, what you give to your children, not be built this way? We built it this way. It took 10 years, it took the effort, because we wanted to make sure that it lasts a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations. We built it the Japanese way. That's why we built it here in Japan. And I'm glad that after 10 years, we were able to honor that commitment. And the fact that we can bring it to market is really bittersweet, because it was such a beautiful and hard problem to work on. Then you see equally hard problems, the problem of governance. How do you bring all these different people together? We all come from different sets of values, different backgrounds, different politics, different genders, different languages, different countries. It's a lot. And we don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye. My country, we have a president that wants to take Greenland for some reason. There's nothing there. Okay, I guess that's a thing. And in a world where we're all different, how do we build a system where we can come together and solve common problems? That's what governance is about. And it's hard, and it's not sexy. It's boardroom meetings and product steering committees and technical steering committees and node diversity meetings. By the way, we should do one in Argentina. And what does that require? It requires Intersect. It requires pragma. It requires on-chain governance. It requires a constitution. It requires democratic consent. The tireless work of DREPs, some here in Japan, some across the world. It's not being thanked. It's not in the spotlight, but it's required to make it work. Just like the people who sweep the streets and the city council that figures out how to make sure that the sewage works. These are the things you don't think about, you take for granted, but when they don't work, the city doesn't work, the community doesn't work. And the fact that we started from nothing, and we were able to build all of this together over a 10-year period across the world, it's undervalued. Here's the thing about technology, the one thing that's universally true about it. It changes. Every year, there's a new MacGuffin to replace the old MacGuffin. So how is it, if you have a decentralized ecosystem, you're truly decentralized, you can decide on how to change? We take for granted that Sony controls the PlayStation and Microsoft controls Windows, and Google is the big voice for Android. But what if you remove them? Who decides? Who will upgrade Bitcoin when quantum computers come? And what protocol do they use? It took them 10 years to figure out how to do Taproot, 10 years to figure out how to do basic things. And this is the single biggest upgrade because it requires a hard fork for the first time in Bitcoin's history. So who decides that? It's a hard question, and they don't have an answer for it right now. But Cardano, we already do. We have a government. We can discuss it like adults. We can weigh the pros and cons, the trade-offs, the ups, the downs, the cost, the time, all these things, we can think about them. And you know what happens is we conclude and reach a decision. And not only do we reach a decision, we have an on-chain treasury that's got $1 billion in it that you control, the people in this room, the ADA holders. So you can make a decision and you can put money behind that decision and say, we will fund the development. We will do this just like a government does. That's the difference. The consent is there, the resources is there, yet it's decentralized. It's made up of people across the entire world. It's a global movement. Many people in the cryptocurrency space, they don't value that, but in the long term, technology is commoditizable, as magical and incredible as Leios is. The other universal truth of technology is, in 18 months, everybody doesn't care. Remember the iPhone. Steve Jobs came out on stage and we said, oh, wow, that's the most incredible thing. I've never seen anything like it. Multi-touch, wow. How many of you still have the original iPhone? In a frame. I got one in the office. You use it still? Why? The world moved on. People copied, they adapted, they changed, they put new things in. Great technology is an ephemeral differentiator because whatever you have, your competitor will have it in 18 months. So the true ability to keep up with the times is your ledger's ability to change, to pivot, to make decisions, to move deliberately and with wisdom. So you need great technology paired with great governance. And we have both in Cardano, which means we're never out of the game. The markets go up, the markets go down. New people come, people lose. When we were building Cardano, it was NIM, remember that? And NEO, and then later EOS. Oh, they thought they were big. They're all dead. Now we have Solana and SWI, and we have all these different actors. They come, they go. We stay because we have the governance, because we have the intention, because we stay and we keep it alive and we keep it going. So that's why we brought people to come and talk to you and show you what they're working on and what their passion is. Whether the presentation is exciting and elating or boring, to them it's the most important thing in the world because it's what they have chosen to spend their time on, their career on, their lives on, their passion on. And every single day they wake up and say, how do I get it done? How do I build it? How do I get people excited about it? And imagine that, a global movement, 1.4 million people, where that's happening every single day. Then we have midnight. That's my passion right now. I want to bank the unbanked. I want one global financial system, and I want it to be fair, and I want it to have rules that everybody has to follow. I want to live in a world where we have virtue again and integrity again, and we have trust again and love again. These are aspirations, but they will not be reality unless you have the system that can't be evil. We need to have a system constrain us as human beings. What we're seeing right now, whether it be what Trump's doing or the Epstein files or any of these things, is evidence of unconstrained humans, people without rules, just running around doing things. No checks and balances. Society is unhinged. Xi just purged his generals in China. He has absolute power. Humanity doesn't work well if we don't have rules. We have to have them. Parents give their children rules. If you don't, your children are unruly. So who gives the leaders the rules? Who gives society the rules? There's no rules behind money anymore. If a government overspends, do they cut back? No, they just print more money. Debase your retirement. Debase my retirement. If a government commits a crime, what do? They don't even apologize anymore. They just pretend like the crime didn't happen and just move on. The longer this goes on, the worse it gets, and eventually everybody just gets numb and they forget what the truth looks like and they forget what integrity looks like. And humans cannot exist in systems like that. We killed the Soviets. Their system's dead and it should never return because they worship that ideology. The point of what we build here together is to show the world that we can build things that constrain us. I am the founder of Cardano. I have no more say or power or control over Cardano than you do. In fact, in many cases, you actually have more because some of you occupy elected roles. And that's how it should be. The system constrains me, despite the fact that I built it. We all have the same rights. My use of the system is the same as your use of the system. That is how it should be. That is how humanity should operate. And in that, we can finally trust each other again because we have that understanding with each other. Midnight is a new dimension of this. It's like when we go from black and white to color. Remember that transition? The black and white TVs, and then suddenly you have color, and then you have a new medium to express yourself. There's a new dimension to express yourself. For when Avatar came out in 2009, and they had the beautiful 3D, it's literally coming out of the screen at you. It's a new dimension. This is an untapped area that we don't fully understand yet. We don't fully know what the rules are yet. Mistakes will be made. Things will have to be sorted out. But it's going to change everything, just like the smart contract did. Because we can now rewrite the rules. And we can write them in a way where they go from don't be evil to can't be evil. And we can hold everyone accountable. This is the only technology in my life that's going to constrain the behavior of Microsoft and Google and Facebook and my government. This is the only technology I have that actually can do that. Because if they use the protocol, they have to follow the rules just like I do. They don't with their systems right now. That's the difference. That's why we built it. It's a continuation of the dream and the effort. We have what we need. We are where we're at. And don't get cynical. It's hard times right now. Markets are in a bad state. People are in a bad state. Psychologically are in a bad state. Why wouldn't we be? It's been years and years and years of false promises and false starts and this project and that project and this person promising this thing and this person promising that thing. And everybody comes and tells you why they're better and they're smarter. And you know what? We're the first people to tell you we're not and have enough humility to tell you no one is. We don't know how to do this. No one does. Why would we? It's new. But what we do know is the process to get there. You bring a community together, you empower that community, you get them to believe in it, you get them to be passionate about it, and you give them great technology to work with. And when we work together, you know what happens? Greatness comes. We didn't know how to do Leios. We spent 10 years, we figured it out, we did it. We didn't know how to do node diversity. We figured out how to do that. We didn't know how to build an on-chain government. It took 2 years. We built an on-chain government. No one person was the essential person. Every thread, every link, every person mattered in that conversation. That's the only way you ever get out of this. You bring people together, you work with people, you unify people, and in the process of doing that, eventually you get there. And it doesn't matter if get there takes 10 years. It doesn't matter if get there takes 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, because this is not about money. It's about society at its core, the economic, political, and social systems you stand on, how you vote, what your data is, your identity, your passport, your human rights, who gets to say what, where, when, who controls you. Why in God's name would you put a clock on that and say we have to figure it all out for everybody and all humanity in 6 months? And whoever has the highest market cap just gets to decide. Why in God's name would we do this? Did you vote for that? Do you have any say in that? Do we control the markets, the manipulated markets? No, as you can see with gold and silver and all these other things. It's not a game you should play. Instead, what you do is you say, who has the best community? Who has the best philosophy? Where am I welcome? Where does my voice matter? That's what you say. Who cares? Who's actually listening? Who takes the time to be here? I'm here in Japan on this stage. I'm not in DC at the White House with all these people babbling over the Clarity Act. I'm not. Even if invited, I wouldn't go. I'd be here. Because you're the ones who matter. You're the voices that matter. We're done listening to the elite. They had their chance, and the world that they gave us is sick. It's over. And it's time for us to move on. It's time for us to grow up and do different things. There's no age limit to being a revolutionary. There's no economic status required. There's no gender required. There's no culture required. Each and every one of you has a seat at the table because you're human. And no human is above another, ever. No person ever gets to own you. You get to decide for yourself. It's just that simple. And that's why we're here after 10 years and we still fight. That's why I don't care about numbers go up, numbers go down. I've watched it all. They'll come back. But in the end, we're going to win because we have the right philosophy, we have the right people, and I hope by bringing all these people, you can see them, get to know them. There's ambassadors, there's Midnight Foundation, there's Intersect. Whatever you are, wherever you're at, take the time to get to know them, take the time to do something with them, and just know that the future is going to be decentralized. I said it in 2014 in Bermuda, and I say it again here 12 years later in Tokyo, Japan. And I'll come back. JJ will come back. Chelsea come back. Kavi's going to come back. We'll be here. And every time we come, I might be a little older, a little grouchier, a little fatter. Trying to lose the weight, but the Wagyu's too good. That's the problem. The food is just so good here. But the passion is unchanged. I love all of you. You're special people, and you made me the person I am. And you made my life worth living. You give me purpose, and you give me meaning. This movement gives me purpose and gives me meaning. And no matter how bad it gets out there, it's not bad in here. We're going to win, no matter what. So thank you all for coming. This is a great way to end a tour. Thank you all the people who toured with me. It was a big sacrifice to their families, to their children, and others to go disappear to Japan on short notice for 2 weeks. We truly do appreciate that. That's a huge sacrifice. But I'm glad I got to see this country end to end, going down the entire archipelago, seeing places like Musashi's Cave that I read his books when I was a kid. I never thought I'd have a chance to actually see where he wrote them. It's such a beautiful place. And you've spent over 2,600 years keeping it beautiful and keeping it special. I deeply respect that. And it makes me proud to actually have a chance to see all of it. I never thought I would. So from the bottom of all of our hearts, the Midnight Foundation, Shielded, Input Output, the Cardano Foundation, they'll let me speak for them on this one, Emergo, and the entire governance layer of the Cardano ecosystem and everybody together, thank you so much for the last 10 years. And we really appreciate the fact that we get to spend another 10 years. This is going to be the best year Cardano's ever had. We're going to get her done. And Midnight's going to be the vanguard alongside all of you. And 10 years later, we'll be back right on this stage, and I'll tell you, I told you so. Thank you. And if you want to get some pictures, I think Taro is going to do the announcement for how that works. Or Alexandre.